Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer at beautiful Saratoga, getting set for Belmont Stakes Saturday, and we kick off our graded stakes action with race number 4. It's the True North. These are some nice sprinters. 3/4 of a mile, $350,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field, and we're going to have a very solid favorite in here. Gun Pilot was good at Churchill Downs.
He's been good ever since Steve Asmussen brought this horse back as a 4-year-old and decided that he was a sprinter. Nothing but good races, but it was the most recent start on Derby Day. That's sort of the breakout performance for this horse. He runs it back against this field, he wins.
Let's throw up our Timeform U.S. pace projector. While Rodney is the projected pace setter, and he is going to make the lead in here, given an alert break, I'm not so sure about this blue bar favoring pace setters because we've got 2 horses on the outside that have recently shown speed. I can't imagine them letting Rodney just get away.
It's a very good point. I mean, Rodney really only has one way to go when he's drawn inside. He is going to come out of there, and he's going to try to make the lead, and make no mistake about it, Rodney's a fast horse. So don't be surprised if he is on the lead, but you're right. Baby Yoda tried a little bit of a new style last time. I think it really worked for them. They were very aggressive. I know that he's drawn outside here, so they don't have to do that, but maybe that's how they want to play it. Either way, Dan, if this pace is slow as the pace projector thinks, the advantage is to the favorite, Gun Pilot. He's going to be right up close.
He's so adaptable. He can do just about anything, and it just seems as he's matured for Steve Asmussen, that style has helped him achieve his full potential. We'll start things off with a bit of an underrated runner. That's the number 190% Maddie, coming up from his Parks Bates for trainer Butch Reed. This will be his 3rd start of the year, and he's paired up Buyer Tops in his first 2 races, both runner-up efforts, including last time out, this race, the Run Happy, where I thought this was a closer's race. The pace kind of fell apart to me, and 90% Maddie is still running on. That's what he does. I talked to Butch earlier this week. He wants to get this horse outside in the clear. He doesn't think this horse races well in behind horses, but he thinks with Rodney in here, he lets that horse clear and get outside, it's going to be key.
Yeah, he can certainly do that. I mean, I don't think he's going to come out of there running anyway, be up close to the pace, let some horses clear, get to the outside for the stretch, see what happens. I'm with you, Dan, on the most recent start. He ran fine in there. He was dead game through the stretch, but it's worth pointing out that the big favorite in there, who was a speed, stumbled out of the gate, then had to rush up, and that made that pace really go. In some ways, this horse took advantage, but he's a little bit underrated. There'll be a price in here.
Rodney, the number 2, is a New York bred, but he's capable against open company. He's won 10 of 19 starts, and he wouldn't mind a wet track either. We've seen him run well on some wet tracks in the past. Here's his most recent effort against New York breds, the Affirmed Success, and he just went right to the front in his first race off of a short layoff, opened up at the right time. Simply better than those horses. This is a big class test, Mike, for Rodney. If the pace projector is right, he has a little bit of an advantage.
He's just got to prove that he can do it against horses like this, because so far, every time Maker stepped him up to try one of these races, he just hasn't been good enough, and that doesn't mean that he hasn't had, you know, maybe an excuse or 2 along the way, but he deals with faster paces in these races. It really works against him. The New York breds, he was good last time, Dan. The New York breds can't beat him. He's won like 8 in a row against New York breds, and every time they step him up, he just finds it a little bit too tough.
24 Mamba's up next. We saw him finish 3rd in the Run Happy behind 90% Maddie. It was a nice bounce-back performance after just a no-show effort down at Laurel in the Frank Y. Whiteley. 24 Mamba, to me, while he's shown some tactical speed in the past, I think in a race like this, they're going to try to take him back and make one win.
I agree with you, and that's probably the right way to ride him. The thing, you always have to remember that he's not a great gate horse. When you go to that race, you're talking about 2 starts back in the Whiteley. He just totally blew the start there, and he just lost all chance. He ran better last time. It wasn't a great performance. It certainly wasn't the kind of performance that makes me want to bet him back against a horse like Gun Pilot, but he ran fine in that race.
Accretive, the number 4, has just had fits and starts to his career, and he's been very inconsistent for trainer Chad Brown. He was good in the Amsterdam back as a 3-year-old in 2022. It looked like it was going to break out last year when running 2nd in the Vosburg, 3rd in the 49er. It hasn't worked out. He's now stepping up in class off 2 losses in high-level allowance competition. I talked to Chad Brown earlier this week. He said Accretive had to earn himself into this race by the way he was working. Chad's pleased with how he's working. I think he hasn't been pleased with the overall results.
Yeah, it's hard to be, impressed with what he's done since that Amsterdam that you mentioned, where he just ran really well. It was very early in his career. It was a fast race. He hasn't really been able to build off of that. He's just been an overall disappointment, and I guess you could look at his last race. He almost got there against Baby Yoda. Not thrilled with that performance. That pace was pretty fast. He got a clean run up the inside. He couldn't get there.
Gun Pilot is up next, and he is simply the horse to beat for Steve Asmussen. He was a very, very promising 3-year-old. After a couple of disappointing performances when they stepped him up in class, Steve gave him all the time he needed. He has come back bigger and stronger as a 4-year-old. And at Churchill Downs on Derby Day, he was a powerhouse winner in that Churchill Downs Stakes, and Steve couldn't have found a better spot for him than this.
That's, to me, the main takeaway. I mean, he did run really well last time and became a Grade 1 winner. That wasn't, you know, the strongest field in the world, but this horse was really impressive winning, and it was a fast race. And now they come up here for the True North. He actually faces a much weaker field this time. He is way the horse to beat.
One of the horses he beat last time out at Churchill came back to win a stake at Lone Star with a 100 Buyers speed figure. Gun It is up next for trainer Linda Rice, and Gun It is an 8-year-old that can still step. First start off the layoff last time out, high level allowance. Here's Gun It going right to the front, set a rated pace, sprinted on home, coming back on short notice, but I think Linda Rice looked at this spot and said, listen, for a graded stakes race, he fits here.
I think that's the right way to look at it, too. I don't think I'm a big fan of Gun It, so I never really thought of him as a graded stakes kind of horse, but listen, Linda Rice claimed this horse for 62.5, got him good, took a shot in a Grade 1 last summer that was way tougher than this one. They're going to try it again. He won't, that trip that he got last time, it's not available to him in here where they just sent him to the front and he dominated. He can't get that trip, but he doesn't need that trip.
Baby Yoda's 114 Buyers speed figure back in 2021, maybe a little bit inflated, but it came here at Saratoga, so he obviously likes this surface. He never really panned out as that kind of a horse in his career, but his most recent start was this race, a high-level allowance going 7/8. He went to the front, he handled accretive, he's game under the line, and again, maybe they found a new style for this horse.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to get aggressive again here. Again, he's drawn on the outside here, so they don't have to do that, and he is not a horse who needs to be on the lead, but maybe they do like the way that he ran last time. I certainly liked the way that he ran last time. I thought it was a good performance. He took some pressure up there, and he still was able to hold off accretive. Good performance there. I'll be interested to see if he can back it up.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the True North. I think we're kicking off a pick 4 in this race, Mike, and the favorite's away the horse to beat.
I don't think I'll have any money in against this horse, Dan Gunpowder. This is a great spot for this horse.
Curious to see if Rodney can A, step up in class, and B, stretch it out slightly to 6.5 furlongs. The key, of course, is whether he gets to relax on the early lead. Gun Pilot, the way the horse to beat. Maybe a slight stab against him. With Rodney in the True North, best of luck.